So I'm gonna say to this computer, and we'll see how it works. Welcome us all. Welcome us all.
Cool. All right, so today we are just going to do a recap of the book. And basically I wanted to like highlight certain things that stuck out to me, certain things that stuck out to you guys, and just take away what we can from it. So I'll go first. I'm just going to share one of the biggest recaps for me, because there's a lot of stuff in this book, a lot of science, a lot of information. So I had to go back and look through and think to myself, like, what is the biggest thing that I can take away from this book? If I had to take one thing from this book, what would it be? And it was like the 4 frameworks to basically set up a habit. So the first one being, I'm just going to run through them. The first one being, make it obvious. If it is hard to remember, you got to make it obvious. So I'll show you guys what I did. Because one of my habits is actually, one of the habits that I want to get better at is actually tracking my habits. So with the Streaks app, you can make it big like that on your phone so you can't miss it. You see how it's right there in the center?
Yeah.
A widget. So when I pull up my phone, because what I realized is that I was forgetting to, there's Eric. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
One of the habits that I was forgetting was actually tracking the habit. So I needed to make this like front and center on my phone so I can't forget it. I know that every single day I have to track my workout, my prospecting, and my reading in the morning. The next one was make it attractive. When you don't feel like starting, you gotta make the habit as attractive as possible. So pair an action you want to do with what you need to do. So if that means, like for instance, going to lunch, right? Like I want to go to lunch and eat halfway through the day to have a break, right? But I can't go to lunch until I make my calls. Okay. Next one was make it easy when it's too difficult, right? So performing the habit over and over again, environment where habit is as easy as possible. So one of the things I wanted to get in the habit of doing too, when I was doing 75 hard, of course, was working out. The second that I walked into the boxing gym and everybody else is there, I know that I can't, to me, going into the boxing gym and working out is easier than me walking into the gym and working out. Why? Because when I walk into the gym, I have to decide which exercise I'm going to do, how many reps I'm going to do. But when I walk into the boxing gym, it's already set up for me. So that environment is perfect for what I'm trying to do, because I walk in, everybody's working out, I'm joining in with them. I can't say, hey, I'm going to take a break and walk over here for us. Like, you got to work out.
It's like that, what's that circuit training that they used to, they may still have them. It was only for women. Only women could go there. And they had like a circle of like maybe 25 or 30 machines. And you would go in.
Is it CrossFit?
It wasn't CrossFit. It had a name of it.
Oh, yes. It was a man owned it. I remember. I can't think of the name of the gym,
but a purple logo or something. But they popped up everywhere. And you would go in, and wherever you could fit in, you would get on it. And like every, I don't know, maybe minute and 30 seconds or something, they would curves. Wasn't it called curves or something like that?
I don't know. I've never heard of
curves. It was huge, man.
That was it. It was curves.
You would go in. I knew some people that owned some of those, and you would go in and like if you could get on the little bench press machine, you get on the bench press machine. If that wasn't open, you go to the next open spot, and then everybody went for like a minute or a minute and a half. They made one full circle, and then your workout was basically over.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of environment you want to be in. So like, even if it's making calls, we're probably more likely to make calls if we're in an environment where everybody is making the calls, right? As opposed to just being by ourselves. The last one is make it satisfying. So when you don't feel like sticking with it, what is immediately rewarded is prioritized. So guys, I love watching YouTube. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do. I send YouTube videos to Daniel all the time. But one of the things that I put in place is that I can't watch YouTube videos if I haven't done all the things that are on my plate to do for that day. I can't go into a YouTube video. So my reward is once I finish all of my tasks for the day, I get to watch YouTube.
One of my tasks every day, as you know, 1 hour, every morning, 1 hour, I watch some sort of information YouTube video, whether it's Coach Burt, that's a lot of them, or I'll watch something on agent attraction, or I'll watch something on business model and mindset. and I make a bunch of notes and I bring it to you guys and just all over you with it. And but that's part of my daily habit is to watch. I don't watch silly YouTube stuff. Like I haven't been watching YouTube since I've been on this vacation. Not very much of it, and there is nothing on TV. They got 200, 300, 400 channels here of absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so
nothing but garbage, man. It's nothing but garbage.
Yeah, that's why I like it too, is because you get to choose what you're consuming, as opposed to them force feeding it to you. But yeah, so finally, the last piece was to find the 2-minute version of the habit that you want to do. So, for instance, if I want to go boxing, get in the car. That's my habit. Get in the car and just start driving.
That's the trigger.
Yeah. All right. So if you guys want to recap that really quick, because what I plan on doing, I don't know if this would help you guys too, but what I plan on doing is anytime I have a habit that I want to implement, putting these 4 things next to it, because I know exactly what they mean. So make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. And it's not that all 4 of these have to be implemented for that specific habit. It's more so which one of these has to be implemented for that specific habit. So some of them may just need you just may need to make it obvious. Another one, you may have to just make it easy. So you just determine that based on what works for you.
Here's a question for you, Tarick. How do you keep the streak going? If you go through the weekend or you have a holiday or like I'm on vacation, so my schedule's a little thrown out of whack because I have to come in, do certain paperwork at certain times during the day, checking on the computer. How do you keep the streak going?
The streak on the app, or are you?
No, on any habit that you're creating. Say making calls before this, making calls before that, or you just give yourself somewhat of an out and go, look, I'm on vacation. This feeds my body. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have a good spirit, in my soul, my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like the 4 things you got to hit. And family time feeds your heart. So, like, how do you keep some of that streak going when your schedule is different or you're in a different environment?
So, here's what has worked for me. I can only tell you what's worked for me. Hopefully, it can help you too. But so when I was doing 75 hard, we went away to Tennessee, right? Because my in-laws are there.
Right.
So one of the things that I had to do, because I didn't want to break the streak, was I had to make sure that I had an environment there that would help me in my habit, right? So what I did was I bought my yoga mat to Tennessee. And then for my walk, I would just walk around the neighborhood. I kept my same routine as far as like waking up and reading in the morning or reading before bed. But on the flip side of that, if you're not doing something as intense as 75 hard, one of the things he mentions in the book is you're not supposed to beat up on yourself when you can't do the habit. Just make sure you don't start creating that habit of not doing it. So
right.
if you miss one day, don't let it be 2 days, right?
Or if you eat one donut, it's okay. Just don't make the next meal a whole pizza.
Right. Don't eat 5,
Right.
If you eat one, the next day you got to take it easy on the sweet. So it's just, what I gather from it is it's just not creating the habit of breaking the habit.
Like I know in one spot where he talks about the habit tracker, he was talking about maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday rules or something like that, habits. So you do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For me, it's hard to do something Monday, Wednesday, Friday and skip in between. Like it's so much easier for me just to hit it if I'm gonna get up at 4:30 every day, which I do. I mean, I was up this morning before 4 on vacation. No matter what, I'm always up. That's just my clock. If I sleep in till 8 one day, then it starts messing with me, right? So if I say okay, I'm gonna sleep in on Mondays and on Saturdays and Sundays or something, then it's harder for me on Monday.
Yeah.
So for me, it's easier just to do everything all the way through 7 days a week than it is to break things up. I was wondering how somebody might break things up though, but your answer is great because, it changes. Sometimes you spend all day in the car driving somewhere, so you don't get some of the stuff done. You can't beat stuff up. I mean, that's called life.
Yeah. And like we spoke about before, so like with the call habit, right? Like we want to make sure that we're calling people consistently throughout the week. So I told you before that Monday through Friday is my time to prospect, whether that be agents or whether it be clients. If I miss a day because, I've got a closing and I've got a bunch of showings or whatever, I know that Friday, so I have it solidified in my mind that Friday is my day to either make up those calls or just that's the day that I have to turn them in to you, right? Like I'm going to be sending you a list of people that I called this week for my 10 people.
Right.
But yeah, and then giving myself, because for a while I didn't allow myself the freedom to have like Saturdays and Sundays off without feeling guilty, like I should be working, right? So now what it is if I've done what I've had to do Monday through Friday, I have earned Saturday and Sunday to spend time with my family, right? And that's how I've worked it out in my mind. So it's working for me. But like, what are some of the major takeaways that you guys had from the book?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I thought this was interesting. The upside of habits is that we can do things without thinking. The downside of habits is that you get used to doing things a certain way and stop paying attention to little errors. You assume you're getting better because you're gaining experience. In reality, you're merely reinforcing your current habits, not improving them. In fact, some research has shown that once a skill has been mastered, there's usually a slight decline in performance over time. And I found that so profound because just because you're doing something every day, to me, don't mean you're actually doing it correctly. It might be a little slip up. So when you go back to being on vacation, that time we went up to the mountains, I had everything planned, like how I was going to eat. I was going to go to the gym. That was a flop because I was at the mercy of what the place had to eat, which was tons of carbs. Then I found out the gym was closed. So I said, okay, I love to walk. So I just walked around the hotel. I just did laps. That was one way to get my steps in, and drunk plenty of water because there was water everywhere. I did mess up on the carb side, but when I got back home, I jumped back on the wagon.
Nice.
So you have to learn, because you're doing something every day doesn't mean you're always doing it. And the longer you do it, you don't always catch you do having mishaps too.
Well, if you're talking about physicality, the body is just an amazing machine, and it's very adaptable. It adapts to if you have a challenge of, say, you need to walk 4 miles a day. Well, it gets to where it doesn't burn the same amount of calories doing that walk. It starts using other muscles during that walk instead of like maybe your glute. You start using back muscles, so it adapts to what you're using over and over and over. Just like when we sit in these chairs all day long. That's when you start hunching and all that kind of stuff is because other muscles are now being triggered. They said, hey, let's take this off of the lower back. Let's start pulling the shoulders forward. And so the longer you go at the same exact task, typically something on your body is going to make a correction. Makes an auto correction. It's like swinging a golf club too. Muscle mechanics, muscle memory, everybody's heard of that. Well, if you tweak one thing, your body might start throwing something else out. And they got to go back and fix your step number one, maybe your stance. Maybe you start twisting a little bit different in your stance. So one thing triggers another when you're talking physicality. So you do have to change things up. So maybe instead of a 4 mile walk, you walk a 6 mile walk or something, or you don't walk at all. Maybe you do wall stance or wall squats or something different.
Good stuff.
Love that. Anybody else?
Yeah, what lots of interesting takeaways from the book, and I was listening to more or less kind of the end part of it today. So one of the things I picked up today, which I thought was interesting, is kind of like the difference between people that really are, I don't know what you want to use, or have the right habits or successful, is that nobody really feels motivated at all, whether they're successful or not. The difference is that you just do it. And one of the things he pointed out about that, which I thought was interesting, is that like Cynthia, for example, she took a walk, but she never regretted doing the walk after you did it. You go to the gym, you never regretted going to the gym. We have in our mind that we kind of talk ourselves out of things. And it's just like if we make our phone calls, after we do our calls, we don't beat ourselves up and say, hey, I regretted doing the calls. So a lot of this stuff is very mental stuff. And we talk ourselves out of a lot of stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting, a little bit different perspective.
I love that, Eric. What you said about making the calls, I think that, I know for me, one of the hangups with making the calls was the rejection piece at one point, like fear that, you know what I'm saying? I'm no good at this. I'm getting rejected all the time. But what I started doing was shifting my mindset to that's an opportunity to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
once
have a great thing. I'm going to go grab it from a book and tell you what it is that I think Tarick will like. So I'm going to go grab it here.
go ahead. Yeah,
No,
but that
I was
that
on
was
go ahead.
go on, Daniel.
I was on a coaching call the other day, and it was about activation of prey drive, right? And talking about professionals, they just show up, they just do it. Most of their day, every time you talk about professionals, most of their day is about practice. Everything they do is practice, 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 and do the same thing over again. And they hardly kind of go off of that course, very little. But this stuck out. Complacency is the gradual settling to a place of mediocrity. So, like when you settle and go, well, I can do it later, or I can catch back up, or I'm going to try this over here, and you get off of the main maybe 10 goals that you create for yourself a day, which is another thing that I want to talk about before we get off of this, is how many is too many to try. But when he talks about the differences between a pro and an amateur, amateurs make excuses, amateurs give themselves a way out, and they like when you think occupation is occupy your time, vocation is finding your voice. So your voice is more in line with your mission, right? So you don't feel like you're constantly working because you're putting your voice out there and doing what you want to do. Like this book club, there's a few people on here today. There's 5 or 6 of us. There will eventually be a time where there's 50 people on here, and it's just the showing up and keep doing it, showing up and keep doing it, and getting better at it. And like this, man, this platform is to voice your opinion. Eric, hit us with your opinion on something.
Well, this is the thing that I just found it in the book here that I thought this was from Secrets to Mastering Your Mindset from Big Al, Tom Schreider. He said, and this is the quote, it says, "Today I will look for people to help. Then I will give them a choice. They can take advantage of my wonderful option to improve their lives, or they can keep their lives the same, if that feels more comfortable for them." So we're offering people options to improve their lives. It's really up to them as to whether or not they want to take advantage of it or not.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a great mindset to take when we're making calls, we're looking for buyers, sellers, building an agency, or whatever we're doing. We're giving someone an option to improve their lives.
Man,
why should we feel bad about that? We're not inconveniencing them. We're giving them an option to improve their lives.
Exactly. That goes right in line with our notes. So this is so weird. It says, keep going until you get a no or not interested. It says, your desire to help other people and solve their problems and overcome their fears or their comfort, trying to push people out of their comfort zone. And that's what this is about. Show up, push yourself out of the comfort zone. There's people that have been on this call before that have never spoke on a Zoom call. Not this call, but in this, in this sequence before. Here's something here's the 5th note that I wrote down, what basically just echoes what Tarick said a minute ago. Once you taste significance, success will never satisfy. So depending on whatever your label of success is, because obviously success is different for everybody, right? And it's got a million different components in it. But once you become significant to other people, now you have to show up and you have to be on the calls. Now you're a significant piece in their journey. Does that make sense? I don't even know if I explained that right, but we're showing up because we have significance to other people. Or another word might be influencer. I mean, it might be interchangeable.
Yeah, and that loops right into what this says here from lesson 10. So nothing sustains motivation better than belonging to the tribe. It transforms a personal quest into a shared one. So when I hear that, and I'm thinking of, what you just said in regards to, what was the word you used, Daniel?
Significance, influence.
Yeah, significance, right? So when you belong to a community, it gives you a sense of significance, right? There was a time where I wasn't on any calls, like last year, like I was not. But like when I plugged in and saw the value that you guys were bringing, I'm like, man, this is a significant thing, and I want to be a part of it.
Right. And now you're like running the realtors between the covers deal.
Right. What about you guys? Like, have you guys found different communities that you can be a part of to help drive your habits that you have currently?
hmm
Yeah.
I'm on a Zoom call right now. um, also, we get on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 o'clock. And it's an amazing group of people. Everyone's helping each other, just like you guys. Everyone's encouraging each other, just like you guys. Every day I learned something that I didn't know the day before, and I'm able to pour into other people as well. And it's just great when you find the group that works for you. Because if it's negative energy, a lot of complaining. The other day, one of the agents was complaining about not getting a offer accepted. And then the next day, the agent called her and said, "We're going to take your offer." The other offer fell through. And our coach said to us, stop concentrating on what you lost. Focus on what you gained. And it resonated with me tremendously. I knew better. I know better. But the way he said it, something just clicked. So I lost 3 deals. So I believe the Lord's going to bring me 6. He's going to bring me double for what I lost. So don't focus on that. So to be around someone to constantly pour into you the way Tarick and Eric and Bobby and Daniel, who goes hard every day pouring into us, it's just a blessing, because we have to realize not everybody gets this. We're fortunate. They just don't. I talked to an EXP agent, and I think she's in DC. She said, I'm with EXP. I'm not getting any of this. So I invited her to some other things. And I'm like, you got to get in with people. And she's a great young lady. You got to get with like-minded people. You can't be on your island by yourself, which was me last year and the year before. You have to find the right group. And everybody's not your tribe. And that's okay. Find the right
Lord.
tribe.
Boy, you didn't say that again. Everybody's not your tribe. Goodness.
Amen. Cynthia, that ties into what you were just saying about when you lose some people, instead of looking at it as a loss, like you can look at it as a gain. Because I mean, I know that one of the habits that I had for a while was taking on people that I had no business taking on in this business, right? And sometimes when they find their way out of your life or out of the deal, it really is a blessing, because you didn't want to.
Exactly. Exactly. And the 2 that I lost, they were a handful.
Yeah.
One of them, even the seller's agent just couldn't put up with her.
Yeah.
My client didn't want to talk to her. She only wanted to talk to me. The other one wouldn't talk to me. I said, you know what? This would have been a disaster. And run up my blood pressure, and I don't need it. Bye-bye. Bye, Felicia. Bye-bye. What you say, Daniel? Some will, some won't. So what next? I got that down pat.
Right.
I had a deal like that, and I ended up closing the deal, but I lost money by the time I dealt with everything. I could have closed 5 times the amount if I wasn't occupied holding their hand. If you do not meet like-minded people, if they're that type, you will save money by losing out on that.
You know, talking about
that's good, Bobby. That's good.
Talking about the groups, you know, it's a challenge to get around people that, if you get around people that fly in private jets, they have a different way of thinking. That's just an example. If you get around a group of people that have their homes paid off, it's a different way of thinking. And if there's 5 of them and you'll probably be number 6 of getting yours paid off. You'll probably figure out a way to be more like that. If one super important thing is, people are like crabs pulling each other down in a bucket. The ones that help each other, and they help each other across the board. And I wrote this down the other day about heart, mind, spirit, and body. You know, if you've got a great, if you're in a group of people, they're not, if they're healthy and they've got all these things going on, the places you're going to go eat is not Burger King, right? They're not shoving Burger King down their kids' throats. They go, all right, well, we'll spend a little bit more. We'll go to the grocery store. Actually, we may save more money. One of the things that we did actually, was instead of drinking out, like having any kind of alcohol out, we would take that money and apply it to some sort of investment. So, and you'd be surprised at how much money, like if you just doubled that money down, because alcohol is like a 2,000% markup or something. I don't know what it is. just wait till you get home, and then when you get home, you don't even drink it. You know, you go to bed or whatever. It's kind of, but it's little slight things like this atomic habits that can, I mean, you might pay a car off early or something doing that, you know, but when you get around a group of people, but it also works the other way, just probably stronger with negative people. I could take you right now to 5 garages where these dudes sit around in their house, in the garage, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer, and bad talking everybody. And guess what? When one person gets up, and leaves, guess who they're bad talking? That person.
Next. You next.
That person. So just know this: people that sit and bad talk other people have that negative energy, and they're always the victim. And then people that are successful, they talk about systems, they talk about books, problem solving, skill sets. They don't sit and talk about somebody else and what they did in the past. The past is gone. Like you'll know, and you'll fall into this. Everybody falls into this. When you get, like when you go back home for Thanksgiving dinner or something, right? There's a pecking order in your family of however you were in the family. And everybody seems to treat each other the exact same way they were 20 years ago or 25 years ago. But like your mother, even though you're successful, your mother will always look at you as the dummy that put the copper penny in the electrical outlet. No matter how successful you are, do what?
It was a pocket knife, not
it was a pocket knife. For me, it was a bobby pin. And I'm going to tell you this. My mom was standing on this. We had this long corded phone that hung on the wall in the kitchen. Every house had it back then. And you could go halfway around the house with that thing. She was on the phone. She said, hold on a second. I was underneath this mirror. I remember it standing right in the walkway, the front door coming off carport. And I found a bobby pin. And I took that bobby pin and stuck it. She said, She goes, well, you only do that once. And man, I stuck it in there. And that's the only time I've ever done that in my whole life. She said, hold on a minute. What do you think about that? Okay. She says, I'm back.
Hey, Tarick, you were talking about not wanting to be rejected. One of the groups I was in was talking about that. And it's reframing how you think about being rejected instead of thinking about how bad it is to be told no. This person said, switch that. Every no you get makes you that much closer to a yes.
Yeah.
You have to get so many no's. You're not always going to get a yes. So if you get 1 out of 10 to say yes or whatever your numbers are, you're getting that much closer every time you get told no. And that really helped me about making calls because I really was not up on doing that a lot of times.
All reluctance is just a mindset.
That's some good stuff.
All reluctance is nothing but a mindset. It's like knocking on doors. Every neighborhood has a sign that says no soliciting. But if you're showing up and you have something that you're providing somebody and say, look, how's your $350,000 investment performing for you? You can go here and find out, or I'm here to help you with that. You know, that's different than soliciting. Soliciting is, hey, will you buy these cookies for my kid or this paper, wallpaper, whatever it is that these kids sell all the time. That's soliciting, candy bars or whatever.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Tarick.
No, I was just going to say also the other thing that helped switch it for me was looking at it from a contribution mindset. Like, because I'm part of this team, because I'm part of this group, every time that I get on the phone and call somebody, every time that I interact with somebody, it's an opportunity, whether they say yes or say no. I can bring my experience back to the group. And if it was a no, we could share different ways to, approach that obstacle. So if we're looking at it from a giving standpoint, like it's not me just calling people trying to get business. It's how can I help my entire group to get better? Because at some point you guys might hear that objection and now you'll know exactly how to approach it. So that perspective has helped me pick up the phone and the phone weighs less when I do that.
Here's a habit that I have not even thought of since I was probably in middle school. And this is a habit that was told to me when I was probably getting out of elementary school, going into middle school. Make a habit of being coachable and do not take corrective criticism personal.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's taking their time to share with you how you can be better, do not disrespect them, I guess, by not listening to the corrective criticism. Do not say, well, I'll show them, I can do this, well, I'll do that. Because if they're taking their time, and this is about being coachable. I mean, this is just simply being coachable. Some people are more coachable than others. And I think it's just taught in you when you're young. Certain people say, hey, don't smoke. Oh, I'm gonna go light up cigarettes in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like certain people just that heed advice more than others. And I wrote this down as number one habit I think any of us can have to be better is to find good coaches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that coach in different things, and also just don't take it personal. Anything is when somebody tells you, hey, here's a better script, or here's a way to act the script out, or here's a way to do inflection. It's not a personal thing ever. It's just somebody pouring into you to get you a little bit better. And that's what Tarick talked about in the very beginning of this was 1% better a day. Just think if you can master one of the 15 functions of a script, one of the 15 things that you have to do in a script, you just say one of them every day, how much easier you are at getting to more yeses. All those yeses lead to successes.
And also with making the phone calls, this was brought to my attention. As a female, in general, women in general aren't used to rejection. In general, it's more men who get rejected, whether they are approaching a young lady and they're afraid to approach her. She's so pretty. I don't know if she's going to give me her number, her digits, whatever. But with women, we're very rarely rejected. So I personally could not deal with the rejection. Someone hanging up on me, someone cursing me out. And an EXP agent said to me, which one you think is worse? I said, getting cursed out. He said, have you ever been cursed out? I said, it's been many, 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 many years. He said, if someone's cursing you out, they're giving you more of their time and they're telling you more of their story. So you may have a better chance of getting an appointment if they're still talking. If they hang up on you, that's the end of the call. And I was like, wow, that's a good nugget.
Yeah, to give for somebody.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
For somebody to
never
objection.
thought of it that way.
That's why it's good to be in good groups with a good tribe.
Yeah. So, but if somebody gives you an objection, that's not a no. You keep going till you get a no or not interested. Don't cross the line. Don't cross the line once they say no. Don't try to convince somebody or something. You're not the jackass.
Once they say no or something, I keep going.
But if they give you an objection, my mother is a real estate broker, or we sold our last 5 houses on our own, or whatever. Then they're still giving you. Yes, let's talk. See if you can settle this for me. There's still they haven't sunk down yet.
Good stuff.
Bobby's got great internet today. What happened, Bobby?
What?
You've got great
working
internet
today?
Yeah, we actually heard you a couple times. Only talked.
We see you.
Times. Yeah, we can see you.
Bobby, your video was great, man. With Nick Friend, that was awesome.
I'll be honest, just like that. There's a saying that trying to wait till everything's perfect is, what is it they say?
Stupid. It's stupid.
Well,
perfection is the enemy of done.
Thank you.
Something like that.
It means the same thing. The enemy of progress. It's the way I heard it, but yeah, it means the same thing. And
yeah, that video was only a couple minutes long, right?
About 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I had been putting off that video for 6 months because I took his his class back last June. And I'm just now getting around to talking myself into doing the video. And
it came out awesome.
I was thinking of all the things that could go wrong. And some of the stuff did happen the way I wanted it. But still, it was awesome. I felt really hyper after I got done just to get that weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, and that's also part of being around somebody that is high energy, as Nick is. Nick is extremely high energy. You can feel him. You can feel him when he walks into a room, basically pulling energy out of people. And if they don't have energy, Nick goes. He goes down. He kind of crashes out.
I kind of thought that may be just him on the video and all that.
That's him in life, dude.
That's him in life because I've been on some calls and other things that are not recorded. that's just me and him, and
Right.
he's always that high.
Yeah, matching his energy stuff. So talk about results of it. Have there been any data points that we can measure?
So far, I have had some people reach out, not a whole lot, but there was some realtors that did reach out and send friend requests and all that.
That's a start.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a start. Was 849 views,
Wow.
and
A lot of
there
people.
was like 21 likes, hearts, 13 comments. Now, I shared it everywhere, so all the shares are basically me and one other person.
Yeah.
Half the shares would not allow it, but
So
I
how
got
can we create something like that? I gave you guys the 30-day challenge for video challenge for February. What is there something that we can push ourselves? So basically, there's 5 components to activate your doing something, right? So that you push yourself to do something different. Yours was, so you got to get over some sort of fear that you did it, and then once you did it, all the anxiety was like, golly, what was I scared of that for? Why was I worried about it? But find a competition. I think we need to find a competition that has video in it, and there is one that's it's in Strategy Real Estate Partners, and I'll cut this out of our video when I edit it. But there's a 30-day challenge, and it's basically just a simple 30-day challenge going live every now and then. I don't think you can go live until the 15th of the month, like halfway through. But that is in. It's on a calendar. It's in Strategy Real Estate Partners. We should create like a competition of that, and see who can make it through doing this part and just getting more exposure, because that's what Nick is all about. Nick's like into posting 10 videos a day, and he's made his whole business off of it. Fear of loss. You don't want to go back. So that's the second activator. The third is exposure. Just that somebody exposes something that you don't want to be exposed, and that's really just a fear, another fear that no one that doesn't come true. It's false evidence appearing real. We talked about a minute ago. Environment. Your environment is one thing that creates triggers. Like if you got around people. So if you went and sat, let's go back to the jet airplane thing again. If we had a meeting in a hangar, do you think that would increase somebody's willingness to their activation to pick up phone calls and to hit their goals and say, gosh, these people are normal people that own these jets? Or if you went to a beach house or something and said, man, people own these houses. Why don't I have a goal to have one of these houses? I'm not. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different activators. Maybe yours is to downsize and retire. Everybody has different activators. But if you do this, it'll get you to this. So it's part of it. And then I don't really understand this one exactly. The last one that we're talking about the other day was imprisonment. I don't get that. You feeling trapped, maybe stuck where you are or something, like you can't do any better. I don't even understand what that means. But I have to go back and watch some stuff and figure that one out. But I'm just saying that, how can we take the video part and create a habit for everybody that wants to do a habit with it? Because once you do it 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times, it's really going to be a lot easier. I mean, Tarick's making videos like crazy.
Well, I was going to say, Tarick, do you use StreamYard?
I have an account, but I haven't used it. When I record, I normally just do Zoom. But I know StreamYard is better.
I was going to mention that StreamYard. I've not figured everything out with it, but it seems like a good platform if you're going to do a lot of video.
Okay.
I've got to start posting on my LinkedIn because right now I can't post a video. On my LinkedIn, I guess they say I don't use it enough.
I know StreamYard is really good at going live on all channels, right? Like you hit one button.
Pushes it all out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What scares me about that stuff is maybe this is the imprisonment piece. What scares me about it is like I'm sitting there, talking to James for 5 minutes or so before we do an interview. Before he interviews me, we're just talking about all kinds of stuff, and then at the end, it still says you're live. But that means that I can see his video feed, right, on StreamYard. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're sitting here talking for 20 minutes after the video, and it still says you're live. I'm like, hey, dude, are we live? He's like, no. It's just it just means that you're live on the account. I'm like, okay, we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
sure?
Dude, it's like in the video in that one, I said, well, dude, last time I went live, I showed the whole world my bubble bath regimen. And because I, like I hit a Zoom call live or Facebook Live, getting in the bathtub. I didn't really, but I'm just saying, just think how easy that would be if you have your telephone in the room. I mean, you got Siri that activates, your watch activates and records you all day. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you could. So we're creating more and more stuff to push out more and more stuff of your life, right? Scary.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So what do we got? We got next week. We're starting Gap in the Game, right?
Yep.
So next Friday will be our first meeting on Gap in the Game. Everybody have their book?
Yep.
I got mine.
Okay.
I've started reading the book and doing the audio book as well.
Dude, audiobooks are certainly the way to go.
And well, on my way to school, while I have my youngest boy that's turning 9, I'm instead of just listening to music, I've started having him listen to the audiobook.
Nice.
I like that.
And we were talking about the news because he has one set of grandparents that are like hardcore CNN watchers. So he's like, this 9-year-old knows more about what's going on in the world than I do about conflicts and stuff. And I was going over the Gap in the Game with him. Well, if you sit there and watch the news and you're terrified about this happening and that happening, are you in the Gap or are you in the game? He's like, Grana's in the Gap. So it was actually sinking in.
Yeah. They're a lot smarter than we give them.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. They pick up everything, absorb it.
They're like sponges.
Yeah.
I couldn't find my kid the other day, and I had just moved my office around a little bit, and I couldn't find him. And I was looking, I said, where did he go? Normally his deal is to go out in the backyard, but he went into the office the opposite way. And I looked in the door, the double glass doors. I looked in there. He's sitting there with a mouse and a mouse pad, typing. I don't know what he had up on the computer, like still settings and stuff. I've never seen it before. He's just typing away. And I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm working. I was like, man, that is crazy, dude. Like how much they just copy you.
He's watching you.
He has no clue what he's doing, but he's working. He's, he takes the dogs out. Like he wants to do things, right? I always keep telling him he's going to be the best pooper picker upper. I'm training him for that. But man, he does. He wants to do everything. It's so funny. Now he might turn 5 and that may change. I don't know. That's what people keep saying. But instead of saying the terrible twos, I call it the terrific twos.
That's good.
I always change it. Zig Ziglar was huge on what you put in your head. If you say you're terrible with names, man, you're going to be terrible with names. Yep. You say you're terrible in photographs, you're going to be terrible in photographs. You will actually project that image to a camera of that you're terrible a picture taker. I mean, he's like, it's just crazy. One time he said he had knee surgery. Somebody wanted to say, hey, must be old age. He said, well, why the other knee bad? It's just as old as this one. I mean, what people say is so silly to me. And if you start concentrating on what they say, words do matter. And
if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think this right here is going to change. And what we're going to do is we need to come together at some point and discuss how we invite more people to it. And how do we influence more people with this call and get more people on it. I mean, this is enjoyable. I mean, sitting and talking to us, but I want it to grow so that we're able to get more people to plug in and get more people's opinions.
Yeah.
I love the opinion piece of this. Like, what matters to you about your morning routine? Some people listen to I don't know, maybe they read the Bible for their spirit, feed their soul. Some people listen to sermons. I'm sure there's sermons all over podcasts. I don't know, but I'm sure they're out there. Some people feed your soul just by holding your kid for an hour every morning, or hanging out with them, putting a puzzle together. You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff. Then you feed your mind with books like this. So I'm very interested in what we as a group do and individually in the group to feed your soul.
But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are awesome. I feel like I'm accountable to each and every one of you.
Ditto.
Like,
We appreciate you.
Did anybody do, other than I'm working on mine? I didn't get mine finished. Mine's written, but now I'm typing it. Did anybody do their accountability habits to send over to their habit contract to send over to somebody else? Tarick's
I
got
did
mine, I got
mine,
his.
right, Tariq? But I
Yeah,
had to
I
tweak it
have
some more.
today. So today, Cynthia, you're going to send me over the contacts that you reached out to. Okay.
For the weeks. But the contract part is okay, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Unless you want to add something else to it.
Okay.
You know,
I'm putting 10 goals on mine. And I think if you're starting a goal or a set of goals, it should probably, like I mentioned earlier, I think it should probably be fewer, right? But these are the goals that I try to hit every day anyway, and have been trying to hit and hitting. So I'm putting 10 on mine. So when Tarick gets mine, it's gonna have 10. Eric, are you doing one?
I haven't done one yet. I just kind of been mentally trying to clarify it. So
you know where it's at, right?
I'm sorry.
You know where the habit contract is, right?
That was in that original set of materials that you sent.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you knew where it was.
It's still going to be on Eventbrite. It'll stay on Eventbrite, and then maybe later on, maybe we recap this book. There's a book that I absolutely love called Principles, and Tarick sent me over this list of like I don't know how many books there are, but a bunch of.
Oh,
them.
I saw that at the bookstore, Ray Dalio.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of little cartoons and things that go with it, and but it's a great book. It's a great book, but it's like over 1,000 pages. I think it's too cumbersome. It's very textbook-ish. I think it's too cumbersome for something like this. But if somebody's going to do some side reading, or if there was a breakout group, down the road, I think that would be a great book for us to look at. But he said that list of about I don't know how many books are on there, but there's a bunch of them on there. And I think that whatever that challenge was it's taking the highlights out of every book, right? That
Which
challenge
one?
thing you sent me.
Oh yeah. So that app does like a Cliff Notes version. It's kind of like Audible, but it does the shorter version of all of those books, so people can read them or go through them.
Which app is that?
Let me find the name again. I sent it to this.
There's several.
It's called
short form book summaries, but there's several apps that do that.
Yeah, there's another one that I heard of. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, that one's shortform.com.
I actually have probably half. There's I don't know how many books. 30. There's 30 books on here. I bet I have over half of them.
It was a 30-day self-growth challenge. The reason I sent it to Daniel though is just to take a look at the book.
Yeah.
Not to go through it in 30 days, but
yeah.
But I have this goal that I thought of where I'm going to start putting the books that I read on the floor back here, right? And by the time the year is up, when I get on these Zoom calls, I want to see that stack behind on the Zoom call.
All right.
That's the plan. So I need y'all to hold me to that.
I was going to ask another question. Oh, so in the gap in the game, is there a workbook for it or documents for it?
I haven't looked into it yet. I'll let you know.
Okay, because we got to have that to start sending out like maybe this weekend to give people the time to get their book. And